Tourism brings in a lot of money into this country. Various things are considered tourist attractions. The Queen, Tower of London and the London Eye. But would you consider our beloved NHS service a tourist attraction? By the end of this episode, I think you may well think about it. You may even consider it. Many times I've highlighted the failings of Jeremy Hunt on this channel, highlighted the lack of funds on the NHS on this channel, and even MPs receiving what they call donations after suddenly awarding a private health company various NHS contracts worth billions. But never before have I considered the NHS a tourist attraction. Now, immigration has always been a big no-no with some people, hopefully a minority. I know a handful of people that had their vote on Brexit influenced by immigration. But I've always said some of the best countries were built on immigration. Australia and America being the two most obvious. But just how much is immigration costing our NHS? We've all heard some people come from afar just to use our NHS. A free service. But should it be free to visitors outside of the UK? The NHS since 2010, the year David Cameron came to government I might add, has had an unprecedented funding squeeze, and we all know that. Health tourism costs 0.3% of NHS spending. A small percentage, but let's put it into monetary value. Over the period between 2010 and 11 and 15 and 16, the NHS budget will have increased by £6 billion in real terms, an average of 0.9% per year. But that is a lot lower than the long-term average increase in NHS spending, which is 4%. And if the political parties are true to their word, and yes, even though I'm a Labour member, that does mean Labour too, the party's pledges should mean that the NHS budget in England would reach 135 billion in 2022 and 23 under Labour's proposals, 132 billion with the Liberal Democrats, and the lowest of all, 131 billion under the Tories. But there are various things that drain that fund. The cost of health tourism to the NHS? Well, there are two ways to look at it. Deliberate use of the NHS, use by those who come here specifically to receive free treatment or who come for other reasons but take advantage of the system when they're here. That's thought to be very roughly between 110 million and 280 million pound a year. And the other term, normal use of the NHS by foreign visitors who've ended up being treated while in England, is estimated to cost about 1.8 billion a year. But are they able to recover that cost? There are tourists out there that are genuine and take insurance before they travel. Some of the costs could be recovered that way. But here comes the shocker. Only around £500 million per year is estimated to be recoverable or chargeable according to the Department for Health. But when it made this estimate in 2012 and 13, the government then said it is thought that about 190 million of this figure could be charged directly to the patients and another 220 million charged to the European Economic Area under the European Health Insurance Card Scheme. But in truth, way back in 2013 and 14, as declared by Full Fact, only 100 million was recovered. A massive shortfall and a dent in the budget of the NHS. So now we can see one thing that could be hurting the service and leading to medical staff keeping that pay cap or pay cut for 7 years. But there is also another definition that packs a punch. Deliberate intent. Those travelling to the UK for urgent, acute, expensive surgery, well, they'll go straight to the A&E. Said to be 60 to 80 million pound. So how do we combat this? Could it be considered that when people apply for a visa, there is a small surcharge placed on it that goes 100% towards the NHS? So small, in fact, that you wouldn't even miss it. And if you don't use the service, it could be seen as just an extra charge on your visa. Now, I can also hear people screaming at me about people coming over to the NHS, and then it would be a bit like America. People outside the UK can't afford to be treated so we'd just let them die. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. Whether you're an immigrant, asylum seeker, or at some point you will receive benefits, to the best of my knowledge, a minimal charge could be taken at source from them payments to a point you wouldn't miss it that much, and funds would still be going into the NHS. Some people say handing over passports. Now that's been said quite a lot, and I think that could be going a bit too far. There are other forms of ID. Either way, it's costing the NHS a lot of money to cover this. The NHS is failing. Jeremy Hunt seems like he isn't doing anything to rectify it, and now the Tories won't lift that pay cap. Maybe that's a result of what I've just mentioned. Maybe why they won't do anything if this leads to the NHS failing. Isn't that what the current government wants? After all, the definition of Conservatives is a political party promoting free enterprise and private ownership. So what happens when it does get privatised? We all lose out. But united, we can save it. You highlight what I've just mentioned, because united, we can have a better society and a better political system. So do we have a new kind of tourism? Do you think the NHS should be free for everyone? And I mean everyone. Or should non-UK residents be made to pay or face the consequences? Let me and the other people that watch this channel know what you think. You know what? You never know who's listening. Click subscribe and make sure you don't miss out on any episodes on this channel. Thanks for watching. And as before, all the best comments will appear on Twitter on Sunday. Bye bye for now. He's immigrate. Fuck's sake. You consider our beloved NHS a tourist attraction. Whatever.